And as soon as I see that we are live, I will give them a little bit of our promo.
All righty. I thought I saw the live pop up.
Did you see it pop up?
Yep.
I do not see. There we are. Yes,
Hi.
we are live. We're going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3,
3, 2,
and 1. Yay! We are live, and I am super excited to be here with Miss Jill Miller. You're going to hear all about her in just a few minutes. Jill already has fans waiting to hear her speak. You just made history right here on Deeper Women Lead Global. People are coming in before we get started saying they can't wait to hear what Jill has to say. So I'm so excited, Jill, to welcome you to the Deeper Women Lead platform. Before we get started, I know, sometimes I always think, I think I'm a celebrity in my head, Jill. So I just think people know me, and I have to tell myself, Barbara, people don't know you. People don't know you. So I'm going to introduce myself. For those people who do not know me, I am Dr. Barbara Swinney. I'm a life and holistic leadership coach and coach trainer. I am the founder and CEO of the Deeper Leader Institute for Personal and Professional Development, where true leadership starts with self-leadership. And at the Deeper Leader Institute, that's exactly where we start. We start with you. We offer training and coaching certification to leaders who are looking to become more effective in their role as leaders or looking to contribute to the field and launch their own life and leadership coaching business. I am also the founder and CEO of the Deeper Women Lead Global. It is a women's empowerment organization, and I am the creator of Deeper Women Brands, and I am super excited to host Deeper Women Lead Atlanta. And that's where you'll get to see Jill. If you have not registered yet, please go over to deeperwomenleadglobal.org and register. And Jill, I hate that this is happening.
Why?
But I just got a notification that my battery is going down. So entertain the people, Jill, while I go to my battery. I'll be right back. All of that 30 minutes before I didn't. Oh my gosh, I'll be right back.
You're fine. All right. So while Dr. Barbara Swinney is taking a pause, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jill Miller. I am founder and president of Below the Line. And we are an organization that is relentlessly focused on economic inclusion in supply chains, particularly in the food and beverage packaging and processing industries. And we're doing that in 3 ways. Number 1, we're developing some new tools so that people have a better way to measure impact. Number 2, we are looking at acquiring companies and converting them over to employee ownership. And number 3, we are doing some work with female entrepreneurs of color with our partnership with the YWCA Metro Chicago. And we are kicking off our first food-based cohort this Friday. What'd you miss, Dr. Barbara?
And that's why Jill Miller is on the Deeper Women Lead stage, because she is a pro. Good job. That was awesome, Jill. That was awesome. So Jill, I'm going to give them just a little bit of history about Deeper Women Lead, and then I'm going to kick it over to you so they can meet and understand who Jill Miller is.
Okay.
So, Deeper Women Lead started with this little book. It's Always Deeper. Back in 2018, I wrote my first book. And as I wrote the book, it really took on a different meaning for me. It wasn't just writing the book. It was really me telling my story, but in a way that telling it from a healed place. So I didn't want to just write a book. I wanted to create something that would help women in leadership learn how to heal and lead, because we don't get to hide and heal. We still have to go out there, and we're still charged with leading people with the expectation that we're okay, even though we're not. So I wanted to establish a platform where women in leadership could come and tell their stories of life, love, and leadership. So back in 2018, Jill, me and 3 of my friends in leadership, I asked them if they would come and speak at this first event for Deeper Women Lead, and it was called Deeper Women Speak. And they came in and they told their stories and shared strategies for life, love, and leadership. And that is where this all started. So we went from 4 speakers just 5 years ago, 5 events ago, to now Deeper Women Lead Atlanta is hosting 22 speakers at Deeper Women Lead Atlanta. And Jill is one of them. Woo-hoo! So I'm so excited, Jill, to have made this connection. And Jill, you told the people that, who you were, you told them about your business, Below the Line. And Jill, I actually met you on a stage.
Yeah.
You and I were both speaking at the Empowering Women in Industry conference hosted by Miss Charlie Matthews. The conference.
My hero.
I met Charlie just online, just going to one of her meetups during COVID. And that's been the most impactful connection that I made in isolation.
Yeah.
So I was pleased to be there. And I was so honored to rub shoulders with women who don't look like me, with women from all walks of life and from different parts of the world. And I met you there on that stage.
Yeah.
So I know that you're no stranger to the stage. You've been on many stages. We were talking in the green room and you were telling me about some of your speaking engagements. But what intrigued you about Deeper Women Lead?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when you and I met, we met the night before the conference. I don't know if you remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those moments where you show up in life, right? Where people don't know that you're a mess. The day I met you, I had just come off of losing one of my closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost didn't come to dinner. And it's one of those moments where you know what happens when you push forward and you just keep living. The world can change, right? Like, so since we've seen each other, we've both changed things. Like we've both changed the world. And what intrigued me about you was the way, after listening to you at the conference and at dinner that night, listening to you talk about what you had experienced and the dilemma you had gone through and how you took yourself through that and you reemerged as a new, strong human being. And I think we've all had a lot of that need for healing the last couple years. But yeah, I was so intrigued, and just seeing the women that you've brought together and looking through your book and reading your book, it's just, to me, it's a really, you have so much inspiration, right? You have so much to give. I get a lot from you. So I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get back to Atlanta and just wrap my arms around you.
Yes. Same here, Jill. Your story definitely inspired me. And one of the things that we talked about, even though it goes against the 4 agreements written by Don Miguel Ruiz, he says don't make assumptions. But we also said that the more you get to your own crazy, it gives you compassion for other people's crazy. So you don't have to try to figure out if people are crazy. You just have to figure out what kind of crazy are you. Yes. So you'll know how to bend to that kind of crazy. So we talked about having meeting people, and look at Jennifer's joining us. We got to bring Jennifer up on the stage. Jennifer Watson is joining us. Yeah.
Hello, my girls. It's so good to see you, Barbara and Jill. This is happy hump day.
Oh, it is hump day.
Hump day. What a great way to spend the hump day.
That's
Welcome,
right.
ladies, Miss Jennifer Watson to the stage. Jennifer is one of our keynote speakers. She's going to be there doing some breath work and teaching us how to just be in our calm and sit in the authority of who we are. So I'm going to kick it to her real quick, Jill.
Yeah.
And just let Jennifer tell us who she is. Tell us about your company, Jill, and what people could expect from you at the conference.
I am absolutely excited to be here. I'm so excited for this conference and what you put together, Barbara. So thank you. And I want to applaud you first and foremost. And I'm honored to be just collaborating with so many amazing women. I've looked at Facebook and all the people you have coming, and it's a true honor. And we need this for sure in the world, and having people and women really lead from a deeper perspective. So thank you first and foremost for having this event. I love it. Who am I? I think just like a lot of people you've interviewed, Barbara, I've come from so many different journeys I've had. And my background is in wellness. I've been a practitioner of 20 plus years, an integrative physical therapist, and I've had 2 holistic PT practices where we practice mind, body, soul work, not just exercises. From a very young age, just with my struggle actually in mental wellness, is when I started realizing the overall look of wellness and that it just wasn't just physical. And I got to tap into the mental, emotional, spiritual piece, and I got to take that into my patients and into actually really filling my cup and healing me, mind, body, soul. And what's happened just that journey is I've met amazing people, and it took me down another path of coaching and speaking. God just really wanted me to take what I knew about wellness and really bring it on a different platform, in a bigger platform. A lot of people, we all know, especially the last years, really struggle with mental, emotional, spiritual wellness, even sometimes more than physical. And it was a missing piece in the coaching world that I felt was not being addressed effectively. So I stepped into that, and then I naturally got into leadership because I've led so many teams and I've taught leadership for many, many years in my own companies and other companies. So I started doing this wellness and leadership dance of coaching and speaking. And wow, haven't we seen how wellness affects leadership, how leadership affects wellness? So, so that's who I am. That's what I do now, is do a lot of speaking and coaching and inspirational speaking on how to really create a mental edge, create emotional stability to bring not only to your work, but really to yourself first and other people outside work, because we all know leading yourself really starts with taking care of you. So I get giddy about helping people really create mental edge during any environment, all environments, during adversity, and really rise to the occasion that your body and your mind truly can if you have the right tools. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yes, that is awesome, awesome, awesome. And you're so right about self-leadership, because really, Warren Bennett says that if you want to become a more effective leader, simply become more of who you are. And we always think that everything is a model for everything else. So just like you have to have a clear and compelling vision for yourself, you have to have a clear and compelling vision for your organization. In fact, you cannot lead others effectively until you're able to lead yourself. And Satinder Daman says that you can't lead yourself until you know yourself, and you can't know yourself, or you won't know yourself until you can fully be yourself. So all leadership really is self-leadership. So the work that you're doing, and Jill, you're doing as well, I'm so excited and ready to hear a bit of both of your stories. It's just phenomenal that you guys are going to be here in Atlanta with me and sharing this time. I'm so honored, and I get so excited, and I get giddy, Jennifer, thinking about the time that we're going to have together. So Jennifer, I asked Jill this question before you came on, and I'll pose the question to you. You just said you are a speaker. That's what you do. You're on many, many stages, and just like Jill, I met you on a stage. I met you on the Empowering Women in Industry stage. What intrigued you about the Deeper Women platform?
You know, I'm such a person. Anybody that knows me, Barbara, personally, professionally, knows that if you're going to be in my world, you got to go deep. And the reason why, and it's not because, oh, it's my personality, you know, what I have learned, whether a person, I want to step back for a moment, a lot of people think that only emotional people or people that are really introspective need to be deep. And I will say that's a misnomer, because only when a leader is willing to navigate the depths of feeling emotion, dealing with the conflict, whatever is coming, because that's when leadership really needs to rise, right? We're really willing to go deep within ourselves. And it does start with our own inner conflict, our own ability to address our emotions and navigate that, and then give it to the team. The reason why I love what you're doing is I do believe that's missing in a lot of leadership organizations, where you're running from the emotions, you're running from conflict, you're running from tough conversations, running. And what's happening, what I've seen with a lot of businesses that were multi-million-dollar businesses in the last 2 years, self-implode, not because they didn't have the systems. They weren't willing to have these deeper conversations with themselves, with their team, and they literally self-imploded. And when I went in, that's where the mess was. But I said, I love that mess.
Yes.
Let's go deep. Let's really get that. So I will say to everyone, no matter what personality type you are, male, female, short, tall, black, white, I mean, you've got to be willing to navigate the depths of tough conversations, of tough emotions for yourself and your team. And when you're willing to do that, I truly believe you become unstoppable.
Oh my gosh.
Unstoppable.
You know what? As you were talking, Jennifer, here's what came to my mind. It's only deep if you haven't gone there.
Yeah.
Once you go there, it's just your mode of operation. It's your MO.
Yeah.
It's how you view the world. And for so long, probably those of us who are accustomed to going deep, because probably like you, and I think Jill, you said it when we were talking earlier, you've always been an empath.
Yeah.
When things started to fall apart in my life, the first thing I went to was me. I was quick to ask myself the question, what was it about me that accepted less than I deserved?
Yeah.
What was that about me? So in most circles, we're probably the anomaly, right? We probably most of our lives we felt like a misfit.
Yeah.
But in the book, what's the name of the book? As a Man Thinks, I think it's by James Allen. He says the dreamers are the savers of the world.
Yes.
So we didn't have the people going deep.
Yeah.
Because you go deep and that's what unlocks your creativity. And you said that you can be unstoppable.
Yes.
Then the world wouldn't go around.
And I so agree with you. From a young age too, I felt like a misfit. I'm like you, Jill. I'm an empath. I'm a natural intuit. As a child, I didn't know what to do with that.
Right.
And as an adult, I realized what a superpower it was. And when we are willing to step in that space, and it is a big space, I know you know that it's a big space, but once we can create that space of safety, of being able to go deep when it really isn't that deep, everybody else can have that permission to do the same, because we all need to go there, even if it's easier for some people or not. Again, this is where I'm seeing people not willing to really know how they're feeling. I mean, I ask people all the time, like, how are you feeling? Like, where are you feeling? They're like, I don't know. They literally have no connection to their body and mind. It's unbelievable. And I'm so excited about this conference. We're doing a really cool breath work to really get you in your body. Not only helps ground you, but really creates high performance. But you have to be willing to feel the feels of everything. And what happens is people don't have the tools to what I call regulate their nervous system. So, powerful incantations, all these things that we do, which by the way are great. Okay. But without regulating your nervous system, when you're feeling the bad feeling, and usually it's coming from a trigger, a childhood wound, a trauma, something big that's happened in your life, and you've got to teach the brain and the nervous system that you are okay. And there are techniques to do that. You can't just say, I'm okay. And I actually, I know people, you can start there, but there's a lot of places you can go. So I truly believe that some of the things that we're going to be able to talk about is allow people to integrate some of the tools we're going to be able to give them, but have a safe space to say it's okay to feel and go deep. And it's really not that bad. And actually, it's not that deep, like you said.
Right. You know what? When I was going through my stuff, I shared this with Jill, and you guys heard it at the conference. I literally got a tap on the shoulder and was told that, your services are no longer needed in this position. And before I could wrap my mind around that, I learned that I was up against some long-term infidelity. And for a girl who is career and family oriented, that was a devastating blow. And it took me straight into an identity crisis. But I remember, Jill, as you talk about just being aware, mind, body awareness. I remember sitting in my bedroom in a bay window. We had these 2 club chairs, and I sat in one chair and kind of looked over at the other chair as if that person, it was, God manifested. And I said, God, this sucks. This hurts. But I want to feel every bit of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go numb and have it wake up 3 years from now and have me set back for 3 years. So that was one of the pivotal moments when I started asking myself those questions. What was it in me? It wasn't the other person. And I also remember walking in the parking lot at Walmart, and I was asking God, help me see him. I was talking about my ex-husband. Help me to see him the way that you see him. And then I stopped in my tracks and I said, help me to see myself.
Yeah.
So Jill, what was a pivotal moment in your life that kind of was a wake up, like, oh my gosh, I've been looking at this all wrong?
We shared a little bit about this. I've had a lot of them the last 5-7 years. And one of the things, though, Jennifer, I'm dying to see your presentation, because I'm a firm believer, right? If it's in your mind, it's happening in your body. And we have got to stop this, right? This is the cycle we have to break. But for me, one of the things in the last few years was throughout COVID, I'm not even going to go through the list of the COVID carnage, as I call it.
Right.
When you go through the list, there was a moment where we had a tragedy followed by some other family things, followed by some other stuff, followed by another tragedy. And I'll never forget, my 12-year-old walked in here, or she was 13 at the time, sorry. She walked in my office and she gave me some really bad news about somebody. And I just looked at her and I was like, I have to get on a plane in an hour. And then the next 48 hours, I realized I was coping very badly with all of the carnage, right? Everything that happens to your body. And there was a moment where it literally hit the wall. And on the backside of that, I remember that night just coming home and saying to myself, when am I going to start being who I really think I am on the inside?
That's good.
And I made a whole lot of promises. There were a whole lot of prayers. And it's carried me, right? I mean, it's been transformational, but it was that I describe it as like the integrity crisis, and not the integrity of high moral code, the integrity of I wasn't the same person on the inside as I was on the outside. And I think so many of us have that issue. And when you realize you can't keep doing it, you can do great things if you choose to actually be your whole self.
That's right.
And for me, there have been a lot of pivotal moments. I feel like you level up. Like every time you think you get it down, you level up.
Yes, I don't think you get there.
No, you don't. I mean, it's right. It's the journey.
It's like putting a candle in the middle of a dark room. The brighter the light gets, the more darkness you see.
Yeah. I don't know, if we had a Dr. Barbara Swinney candle, it would light the room.
But that's so true. I love what you said, Jill, because there's these battles of what am I accepting that's not in alignment of who I know I really am. Right. That's actually why identity crises happen, everyone, because you're not being integrity with who you're supposed to be. So your brain's going, who's captaining the ship? Yeah. It's literally saying that. You're saying one thing, but then you're doing another. And then people are like, I'm outside body, I'm discombobulated, like I don't. And that's why we have to get grounding techniques. Like you said, Barbara, ask good questions like, where is this coming from? One, and then tools to ground you to see it clearly will allow you to get congruent again with your identity. I went through, Barbara, a time where I literally was planning my death around taxes because I thought it'd be easier on my family, less paperwork. I mean, that's how messed up my brain was. And I always say after all the accolades and successes I've had, my greatest success was healing my brain. And it doesn't mean, like you said, Jill, I've leveled up, every time something comes up, another thing comes. But I remember my pivotal point of, when did I lose my little girl? That girl that was so young, that believed in everything. I've denied her. I've guilted and shamed myself for choices I've made or things that have happened. I remember visualizing hers. And I'm like, I would never leave her. I would never say that. I would never say that to her, yet I have all the potential in her, and that I see now. So for me, what really helped me in my pivotal point when I was literally that come to Jesus moment is I went back to her. God just brought this vision of my 6-year-old self. I'm like, she was so beautiful, so inspiring. She was so strong. Why have I left her? And that just hit me really hard. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, that's not who I was ever meant to be. And that was my pivotal point where I started getting the powerful tools for my own help and seeing others do the same. But it's really that identity crisis that happens. Like, I'm not being congruent with what I know I'm supposed to be. I'm settling for less for a lot of different reasons, but it's a powerful space to be when you're in.
Yeah. It is. And it's also, we talk a lot about, first of all, I always say you're every age you ever were, including the age you are now. So, right. It's just, you're there all the way, and you have to honor all those people. But the idea that I describe it, and I think I may have at the conference that we all were at, you describe it like when you're a kid, you get up on the stage and you sing and you like pick your nose and nobody cares and whatever. And then judgment comes in, self-judgment comes in, the flower starts to close, right?
Yes.
And then you stop being that person, and you've guilted and you're shamed and you've feared yourself out of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always say, Jill, we come here as sculptors, but we leave sculpted.
Yes.
I love it.
Somehow we switch roles. Like, it's almost like everybody's working on somebody else. And I was doing a training for a group of leaders one day, and it was primarily women. And one of the ladies said, well, I just never saw myself as a leader. And I challenged her and I said, where did that come from? Because when you were 3 years old, if you cried, the world moved to make you happy.
Yes.
So where, at what point did we start thinking we couldn't do something?
Yeah.
I think it was Napoleon Hill who said, the only limitations that we have are the ones that we accept and establish in our own minds. So we are literally, we're not, oh my gosh, I'm getting too excited. My words won't come. We are not products of our environment. We are creating the environment.
Oh, yes.
But when you understand your authority as a creator of the environment, you start to behave very differently. You get clear about what it is that you really want. And you also get clear about who you need to become to get the thing that you really want.
Yeah. And from because I'm such a neuroscience freak, but the brain is always going to lean toward negative, always, every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because it's meant to keep you safe. So any old crappy belief you have that's not true, it will lean into that 10 times. It's like the one rotten apple,
Right.
You have to realize when you're in that moment, like 80% of what I'm saying right now that's negative is not true. It's just my brain. Namaste, you. Love you. I'm not running from a bear. Thank you. You're making me think I am, but I'm not. When we can really understand that our brain is just doing that to keep us safe, and 80% of those negative beliefs are not even true, it allows us to take, I believe, that step of like, okay, what is true about me that I know is empowering, is alignment as a leader? And just by shifting that, when you stay in the present, the ego dissipates. It can't live in the present. Actually, it's trying to make you think of comparing and past and future. But if you stay here, it quiets. Like, oh, she's not listening to the negative. She's listening to the leadership power she has. Like you said, Barbara, like I found when I was in that negative state, I'm like, I'm not a leader. People are like, how can you not see that? And then once I got into this healthy state, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was believing the lie. that unfortunately
Right.
our brain is just
Mhm.
kind of corralled to do. But if we understand that,
Mhm.
take a deep breath and go, okay, I know what it's doing. The more I think we understand what's going on, that's not there to hurt us, it's there to, really support us. But we just have to take a step with our higher conscious and go,
Yes.
that's okay.
And
And that's what we should do.
our you talk about the higher conscious. We actually operate from our subconscious
Yes.
mind.
Yeah.
Our body responds and reacts out of our subconscious. And the brain takes in about 11 million bits of information every second.
Think about
But
that.
your conscious mind can only process 40 to 50.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
So where do you think that stuff is going?
Right.
It's creeping
Right.
down into your subconscious. So it's important that we are taking the time and being intentional in
Yes.
understanding how our brain works, how our mind works, because it will play tricks on you, and understanding that probably 75 to 80% of your thoughts are not yours.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
absolutely.
been given to you.
No, and it's even more. I mean, the one thing I keep focusing on the last couple of years, and I focus on with some clients, is it's the micro habit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That tiny little habit of, I used to believe this about myself or the world, and just every time it comes up, you go, I don't believe that anymore.
It's not
Right.
true.
I'm not a this, or I'm not, I am a leader, or I am a decent human being, or just because, that guy doesn't think I'm what he wanted when he hired me doesn't mean I'm not amazing.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And those tiny, you have to retrain your brain, right? Like from a
Mhm.
neuroscience perspective, if you
Mhm.
can get your brain in the right place,
Yeah.
I mean, people use it all the time in terms of like addiction, right? I mean, I do smoking cessation,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you will always have that as part of you, but it doesn't have to be you going forward. You have the choice.
Right.
And when I stopped choosing to listen to the people who were and believing that,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's unbelievable. Then you create, right? And sometimes I'm sure you have both experienced this, right? When you're in that creator mode, we were talking about it with you, Barbara, like the way that, the we're creating right now. And
Yes.
as you just keep going, the conference just keeps building and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And it's if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
And it's going to be this amazing group of women in a
Mhm.
room, and then imagine all the creation that comes out of that. But when you start, I mean, there have been times in my journey the last year, just like as in entrepreneur land,
Mhm.
where you're thinking to yourself, there was one night I went to bed, it was 11:30 at night. I was like, I need a data scientist. On earth am I going to find a data scientist?
Right.
And I just kept thinking, like, I'm going to find a data scientist. I'm going to find one. You know what I woke up to the next morning? In my LinkedIn inbox, hi, I'm a data scientist for a 500 company.
Right.
But this is what happens when you put I don't even know if it's vulnerability,
Mhm.
but when you just authentically put yourself out there, I think you get
Well,
what you need in return. And
Yeah.
it's not always money, and it's not
No.
always this,
And,
but we're all poor in some way.
I want to say this, I think a lot of times when I get on stage, a lot of people are like, yeah, believe in the law of attraction and think something and it's going to come to us but it doesn't always happen to me. I'm going to tell you guys everything. Okay. It's not going to be a perfect road. There are going to be times where I still, like I said, have my old belief come up, a hard day where I have to dial in a little bit more. It's not quite aligning the way I want, but I'm still learning. And I want everybody that's listening to really get that as we're speaking here and we have found out a lot of cool equations and we lean on each other. But there's days where we have to dial in. There's days where I still question. There's days where I get into, gosh, am I good enough to do this mode, self-sabotage mode, and I've been there.
Mhm.
And when we can really get around, other than like, I agree, Jill, like the micro habits you talked about, so powerful among all leaders. I've interviewed so many leaders, and there's a top 10 list, which I can give to everybody if they want.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
on the list. It's the micro habits, but also knowing too, this grace of, it doesn't mean that you're feeling great every day. It doesn't mean that every day you're generating, manifesting 100% everything you want every day. It's the journey of getting there. When you don't, shifting the boat a little bit. Like, okay, that didn't work. Maybe try this. You guys, I got denied, rejected by 20 TEDx applications before I got accepted.
Wow.
You think I was questioning myself? Like, I go with highly competitive, like, what is going on? And I plan to do another one at the end of the year. But my point is I knew I just stepped back. The old belief, it's not me. What do I need to do? What is my learning moment right now? It was manifesting, but it was not happening. Like, what do I need to do? And I had to change my messaging a little bit. And I got a coach. And that's sometimes what the answer is. It's not saying that there's something wrong with you or you're going down that old path. It's just saying, hey, we need to do something a little different. Shift the boat a little bit. I mean, man, what is it with ships? I mean, if you even shift it 1 degree, you end up in another country.
Yeah. And I'll say that in some cases it's the shift, right? Sometimes it's the right. I think Daryl Stinson talks about this. Yeah. What is the smallest shift you can make to change the world?
Yeah.
But it's also sometimes, have you ever gotten to the point where you're in a position, and I think this is the leveling up part, where you go, I have shifted. I don't know what to do. I am at my wit's end. I am done.
A lot of shifts.
But then you know what you realize? You're not getting the answers you want because you're asking the wrong question.
Yes. That's totally true.
Then you get to then you level up, then you do like recalculation.
I love it.
Really,
and sometimes you have to, there are literally days when I sit and I say, I am available for the answers.
Yes.
I am available for the change that I need to make. And you guys are talking about shifts. And I used to pray the prayer, Lord, fix my perspective. And I started saying, no, make my perspective flexible.
Yeah.
So that I can see things from other people's perspective.
Yes.
And really what I'm learning is the victory is in the shift. That is the miracle. And Marianne Williamson talks about that is the miracle. The miracle is in a shifted perspective.
Yeah.
Just like I shifted on, it's really not that deep because this is where we live in the deep. It's only deep if you haven't been deep.
Right.
So that is where the victory is. And one of the things that I'm so excited about is, when you wake up, you want everybody to wake up. You get excited and you have all of this energy. And then I think Marianne Williamson also said, we're on here and we're all like-minded and we're all right there together. The issue is when you go out in the world is so upside down until you feel like the insane one. Right. So my hope, and I'm confident that when the ladies come to this conference, they will be empowered. They will become professional healers like us, because it's not that we don't hurt. It's not that we don't go through things. It's that we've learned and we've gotten the tools to go in there and fix it, to go in there to fill in the cracks, to fill in the holes and appreciate the holes for letting the water seep through, because we needed that water to come in from the roots so that we can grow and blossom. So I'm super excited. Listen, ladies, if you have not registered for this conference, we could talk about this all night.
Yes, we could.
Jennifer Watson is one of our keynote speakers. Jill Miller is one of our featured speakers. If you have not registered for Deeper Women Lead Atlanta, which is going to be happening here on March, I was about to say May, on March 19th, go over to deeperwomenleadglobal.org and register for the conference so you can meet us all here. Jill talked about having that integrity within yourself. And you cannot even get things done really if you're not in alignment with yourself. Even when you're establishing goals, a lot of people don't reach their goals because they don't realize that what got them here is not going to get them there. And you have to continue to become something different, even for the goals that you're setting right now. So you have to start asking yourself, who do I need to become to fulfill the vision? Right. And what behaviors am I currently demonstrating that are aligned with what I want to get? And when you ask yourself those questions, you will see that you're not going to lose 10 pounds if you keep eating the donuts. It's out of alignment. It doesn't work. That's just not how the principles work. So there are certain laws and principles that we live by. I was talking to Jill about being concerned or waking up one morning in a panic, like, oh my gosh, are they coming? Nobody signed up yet and all of that. And then when you really take the time, if you say it out loud, a lot of the stuff that we fret about, it really sounds kind of crazy. There's no way, Barbara, that you're going to sit on these lives day in, day out, creating these flyers, meeting with your event planner, meeting with the marketing specialist, booking the event and all of that, that nobody's going to sign up.
Right.
That's just not how it works. That there is something too, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
Because you are preparing it with the expectation that goes to us, back to us being endogenous creatures. We are creating the environment. It's not creating us, we're creating it. So once we're able to command that and sit in the authority that God has given us, man, it gives you such a different outlook. And then back to that integrity piece, Jill, in leadership, we deal with that imposter syndrome. Really showing up one way. I did it for years. The most confident, insecure person I knew.
Amen, Barbara.
Jill, there's so many people that are already still there, and you shared a little bit of some other parts of your story that you're going to share at the conference. And you talked about women just not being able to be authentic and truly lead in a way that's authentic from who they really are. That means embracing the wounds, embracing the victories and all of that. What advice would you give to a woman who is in leadership, but is suppressed? She's hit her leadership lid because she's not able to live full out because she hasn't been honest about her own story.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece, number one, right? Women, we tend to like bury the trauma. You have to let it out of the box. It heals you. And I think too, it's learning, right? I do this whole thought catching thing, right? Something happens, I have a response to it. And again, just like micro, you train yourself to say, and I still do it. And I'm going to disclaimer everything I do in life. I shoot for 80%. I used to try and be a perfectionist. I now think 80% is good enough.
Yes.
Hold me to that if that's what the report card looks like. We're not perfect, right? But understanding and accepting that and where the flaws might be, some of it, right? We can see our blind spot and we can keep getting better. There's always room for growth, but we have to first accept who we are. Like that grace you give yourself and that unconditional self-acceptance, I think that's where it's at. And it's also, we talk a little bit about like the fear, right? The fear that is in us. When you drench that fear in love for yourself, you become the leader that is unstoppable.
Yes.
Because you've stopped living with that horrible feeling inside of you that you're not enough. I think that's really what it is, right? I have this, like, I wish I could put it on paper. I can't, but like this vision, right? Of what happens when you give yourself that perfect love and the fear is gone.
Yeah.
And you just keep going and you do it. You may make mistakes and you may screw up and you may say the wrong thing or something bad happens, but you did it you did it with love and compassion. And so you just keep going with after the mistakes, you learn from them, you fail fast, you keep moving. I mean, that's one of like our company, how we do business. We send it to every client.
Yeah.
Fail fast, but we learn, right?
Absolutely. What about you, Jennifer? What kind of advice would you give to a woman in leadership who is struggling? And we quantitatively, we've got it. I was talking to somebody today and I said, once you've been in a leadership position for 3 or more years, you've exhausted the knowledge of the duties and responsibilities of that role. The next step is to go in. So after you finish going up, and that's unfruitful outside of the quantitative success that you get, you have to go in. So for those women who are struggling, they've achieved some level of success and they have the data to prove it, but they're still unfulfilled. How can they connect with their stories, Jennifer?
There are so many things. Women are beautiful. there's so many layers of us. And a lot of people I know coming to this conference are high achievers. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm a recovering people pleaser, recovering. And the reason why I mentioned that overlays in a lot of leaders that we're overcompensating and being perfect in things. You're trying to be perfect in things because we feel so much pain and exhaustion and struggle. And I would say to any woman leader that is successful and is feeling deep pain, first, I encourage you to do this: detach from the outcome. Detach. Detach from the outcome. Now, yes, everyone, we're high achievers. We have goals, like have this by this month and this quarter. I get that. And we need that as humans, that ego to anchor us to move forward. But as we all say, the process is really that journey, that powerful journey. And when you just focus on the present moment, mindfulness we hear about all the time, everybody, being intentional about the small things we do every day. When we really detach from that outcome, and what you actually said, Barbara, like, I don't have to worry about the outcome. Like, I'm in my moment. I know who I am. I'm aligned powerfully with who I am, what I'm giving to the world. It's going to happen. So guess what? I'm not even going to attach to it. I'm going to stay in the moment of meeting with my marketing person, getting some good, like having these conversations and these interviews. That's where the meat is at. And actually, believe it or not, that's where the healing is at. So if any advice I can give to leading women, we have to learn to detach from the outcome, stay in the present. And yes, women, we have beautiful feminine powers. Intuition lives in our feminine. Compassion, empathy lives in our feminine. When we are so worried about the outcome, which is our masculine, okay, we're suppressing the very thing that makes us amazing leaders. I see a lot of women doing that still. Be the boss, BITCH. Do go. Right? And instead, really fan your feminine. I'm not saying you're in your feminine all the time, but we do way too much masculine, you guys. And part of being and healing our wounds and going deep requires us to be in our feminine.
That's right.
So bonus there, and also it allows you to stay in the present, create fruition of your gifts and your talents and what you're doing to make this outcome happen. When you detach from that, you have, everyone, true freedom. That's actually from Eckhart Tolle's, one of his books.
Power Now.
Talks about, what is true peace and freedom? Like everybody's like, what is it? Eckhart Tolle, like, tell us. And he said that. He said, non-attachment to the outcome.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is. And that creates so much pain because we have so much from our old beliefs going to the outcome, expectations, what other people, like, we're not staying in our gifts. Just forget the outcome. Have your, 500 people or whatever you want, but stay here. When I stay here, you guys, I feel so good. Like right now, cross-contaminating. I call it cross-contaminating, not masterminding. With awesome people. And I'm already getting ideas and things in my own world that I can bring to the world. Like when we're here and not there all the time, where we are, and stay in our feminine, let go, detach, stay in your feminine. Those are the two things I would say to the women leaders that are coming to this conference in particular. Learn to get out of that, detach from that, and stay in the feminine. And that's not always easy. That's when coaching, support, these conferences are needed. And those two things are pillar for the leading woman. Pillar.
And, I would say do your work.
Yes.
When you do your work on yourself. I had somebody a couple of weeks ago, somebody said something negative about me. And sometimes people don't understand. They say I have a poker face and all of that. But what they don't understand is I don't care. Like I really don't care, because here's the thing. You do your work. There is nothing that you can tell me about myself that I haven't already identified myself. So what you're saying may be true. I may agree, but I'm not offended.
Right.
So it's harder to get hurt. It's harder for your feelings to get hurt when you've done the healing work.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've had people call me out. I love that, Barbara. And I really don't get offended anymore. I'm like, wow, that old part is coming out. That's a good point. Or maybe it wasn't. It doesn't matter if I agree or disagree. There's such peace. And we as women, when we're leading groups, have a tendency to get, again, addicted to the outcome, that we want everybody to be okay. I'm not saying you're not in love and in opening up in a really pure, authentic way and communicating well. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to like it. I mean, you are leading. So that's just you're not going to please everybody. So I love that you said that, Barbara. That's such a freeing piece that you're not here. I do believe this. I love to be liked, but that's the reason I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the reason why I'm here. That as a leading woman and where I want to create impact, I want to have awesome, deep, honest conversations and be healed and see leaders heal themselves. And that's why I love this conference too, Barbara. We need healed leaders, and there's a lot of hurt leaders right now. They're getting hurt by conversations or feedback because the healing work is not there, and it's causing all this friction on their team. So when we can really get to these individual leaders coming to this conference, that healing, that inner work, I really believe women businesses are going to take off. They already have. They're getting this, right? Yes. But I believe that. I believe that. I love that you said that, Barbara. I love it.
Absolutely. And when Jill, go ahead. Were you about to say?
I was going to say, I think, first of all, just a quick sidebar. We need to start a book list.
We do.
Women book list for sure. Your book's at the top. But I think we need that. But when you talk about detaching and this perfectionism, and I think the last 2 years have really done this to a lot of us, as if we weren't already like seeking perfection before COVID. Flexibility, right? We get so rigid toward the goal as leaders. I look at so many leaders, men, women, doesn't matter what color, shape, size you are. All they look at is that's the goalpost, and I have to hit it through. And there's no flexibility between there. And what happens when you're not flexible? You break.
Yeah.
And just from a rational perspective, when you can't detach, you've lost your ability to be rational as a leader, I think.
Love that, Jill. That's so
good.
Can we replay that? Because that might be that's my new book.
That just gave me chill bumps. Listen, Jennifer and Jill, you guys are the essence of the Deeper Women Lead platform. I am so honored to have you be a part of this. When I created the website for Deeper Women Lead Global, it had just been all things Deeper Women Lead. And for some reason, that night, I put global on it without understanding the impact, without understanding that global would call the women to it. And sometimes I get overwhelmed with the connections that I've made through this. Jennifer, you're in Colorado. Jill, you're in Chicago, and I'm here in Atlanta. And there are other people who are coming from across the country to be a part of this platform that started with 4 women in Atlanta, from Atlanta. And now we're reaching women from across the nation. And I do have an international surprise for you guys at the conference. So I'm just so grateful and honored to be connected to you. I'm privileged even to have this association now. So thank you. I think these are going to be forever relationships, just women rooting each other on and not wanting anything.
Yeah.
I just want you to be healed, and I just want you to be able to go for the thing that you know. So ladies in Deeper Women Lead, in the Deeper Women Lead community, if you have not registered for Deeper Women Lead Atlanta, that's happening on March 19th, be sure to go tonight to deeperwomenleadglobal.org and register for this conference. And before we go, we cannot leave without our guests telling us how you can find them. So Jill, can you tell them how they can find you?
How they can find me?
Yes.
They can find me at belowthelineinc.com. There you go. Can learn about what we're doing in all areas. And Jennifer, I'll hand the baton to you.
Absolutely. So I'm the most active on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I do answer my own DMs. So LinkedIn is Jennifer Watson Leadership. That's also my website, make it easy. And then my Instagram is the Jennifer Watson. So I look forward to just supporting all of you lovely ladies, and I cannot wait to be there in a couple weeks.
It is going to be amazing. Jennifer Watson, leadership.com. Ladies, check them out. You've heard them here tonight. We could go on and on with this. because purpose work doesn't get old. So we are looking forward
Amen.
to seeing each other at the conference, and we are looking forward to see every woman in this group and every woman across the nation and internationally at this conference. So thank you. We lost Jennifer, but I'm grateful that she was able to attend tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Deeper Women Lead Atlanta, March 19th. Get over to deeperwomenleadglobal.org and let's get this healing work done, ladies, because we've got stuff to do.
That's right. And remind them if they can't join us, there is a virtual option.
There is a virtual option. If
Yes.
you cannot be in person, there is a virtual option. We are making every effort to make sure that our virtual audience is experiencing something similar to our in-person audience. So however you can be there, get there. All right, ladies, we are going to close this out. Jill, it has been my absolute pleasure to share this time with you. And we're going to say good night. So wave to the people, Jill.
Night. Thank you, Dr. Barbara.
Absolutely.
You thought I was playing?